Welcome for the second day. As we briefly discussed yesterday, the purpose of our doing Dharma practice is for our long-lasting happiness. And what obstructs us from actualizing that long-lasting happiness is negative emotions, right? So for a practitioner, the sworn enemy is negative emotion. Negative emotions like anger, jealousy, hatred, and so forth, countless negative emotions. So for a Buddhist who wants to do proper meditation, then normally there is a preparation, then actual meditation, then conclusion. I will not go much into detail about the preparation, but normally preparation means the 6 preparatory practices. You know 6 preparatory practices? You are familiar with that? 6 preparatory practices, which are: number 1, cleaning the place where you are going to do meditation. If you have 2-3 rooms, wonderful. If you not, at least a little bit clean up the place where you are going to do the meditation. And having cleaned up that place, then you should arrange the altar representing Buddha's body, speech and mind, which means normally you should have one image of the Buddha which represents his body, then a stupa which symbolizes his mind, and then scripture, holy scripture, which represents his speech. So normally if you go to a temple or visit some of the Tibetan homes, you will see those in the altar. But it doesn't have to be very elaborate. Just keep something that reminds you of the body, speech and mind of the Buddha. That's very important, because that's what you are trying to actualize through your practice. Your end purpose is to get enlightened, right? So therefore that is important. And the place must be clean, even otherwise. In the sutra, it speaks about 5 special benefits of keeping your place clean. Your mind will be more clear, and that we can all experience. You know, once I was reading an article where it says that when you get up in the morning, the first thing you should do is, clean up your bed. Make it, don't just go out of your, bed like a worm or something, without cleaning it up. So clean it, make it, spread the, bed sheet or whatever, make it very clean. So you feel like coming back. And if you go out and get tired and then you come back, you feel like just lying down, so good. I do this since I read that article. I've been doing this. It's really useful. So your mind will be more clean, more clear. And those people who will visit your room, their mind will also be very clear. They will be happy. Oh, this is nice, clean room. You see, this is very important. And then it said that it's not only you and me, but there are celestial beings hovering around. They will also be happy. They would like to come and visit you also. If you are living in a very dirty, stingy place, they will also not visit you. Okay? And because you are kind of performing that when you get up in the morning, the work, you are making the environment and your room clean, So in the future life also you will be born as a handsome man or beautiful woman. If you like that. I like that, yeah. And then you're of course accumulating
clean
a
up
beautiful
your bed.
karma. Okay? And there is a likelihood of your being born in a celestial being. So even when you clean your room, you're actually sweeping the dust. But at the same time, you should think that you will see those in the altar. Externally, I'm sweeping the dust, but internally, I'm sweeping.
It doesn't have to be very
dust
elaborate.
of negative emotions. There is a
Just
story
give
of
something
one
that
practitioner whose mind was very dull.
Go out of your,
and could not learn anything.
Then
Go out
like
of
your,
in this art. You just like clean, sweep the floor, and every time you sweep the floor, you should say that this is not the external dust, but this is the dust of my mind. You keep on doing this, and suddenly, out of nowhere, his mind become more clear, and was able to pick up many things, learn many things. So there are many reasons. I'm not going into detail about this. The second is arrange the offerings beautifully. Whatever offering you are going to make. It's like, you've seen in the temples people arranging, 7 bowls of water and butter lamps and flowers and other things. So this is really like, an Indian custom, where when you are visited by an important guest, then first thing that you do is, India being hot climate, the first thing that you do is, give some water to that person to clean or wash his or her food. That's the first thing you do. And then the second thing that you do is the first thing that you do is give some water to drink, India being hot climate. Then the second thing you do is, again give water to wash the feet, because you don't go into other people's room with the smelly feet, so wash. So first bowl symbolizes drinking, second symbolizes for washing the feet, and then third is you don't invite your friends in a smelly room, so you burn some incense and other, sprinkle around some fragrant water or things like that. No, the third is flower. Third is third is flower. You make sure there is a flower on your table, things like that. Then the incense. And then you don't invite your guest in a dark room, so therefore you offer lamp, butter lamp. Nowadays you can just switch on the light. After that, then you also sprinkle some fragrance on the body of that person. If you watch one of the old Indian documentaries, you can see all this even to these days. Okay. And then after that, food. Of course, you don't invite guest and just keep him or her hungry. So you give some food. So that's why the next one is food, biscuit, whatever you want to put, you can put it. Okay. So first bowl, water. Second bowl, water. Third bowl, you put some rice, and on that you put flour. And then next bowl, put some rice, and then stick those incense sticks. And then next is butter lamp. And the next is water, and then you put saffron and other things. And then food any that is fresh. And then after that, if possible, then do some dance and singing, You are entertaining the guest. So it's like that. Just as we treat an important guest, similarly you are imagining the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are visiting my room every day. You see, it's not that they come one day and go away. It's not that you have to send an invitation, things like that. They may be there everywhere. So you should always be ready to welcome them. Okay? So arrange it beautifully. Arrange it beautifully means when you arrange the bowls, the space between them should be equal. It should not be crooked. Okay? And then also when you put the water, don't spill the water. Just as you would not just spill the tea, in front of your guest, like that. So you have to be, you have to imagine that you are really doing this in the presence of important Bodhisattva or Buddha. Okay. Then and then the offerings that, the most important thing is the offerings that you are going to make, those should not have earned by you through cheating other people, through deceitfulness. So here it speaks about 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. So these offerings should not have been earned through these 5 types of wrong livelihood. The number one is flattery. Flattery means you want to get something from that person, dollar or maybe a book or whatever you want to get. You look so nice. So nice meeting you. You are really trying to get something from that person. So flattery is not good. It's a wrong livelihood. And the next is side hinting. Hinting means if you say, I have butter, but I don't have samba. You want to eat nice samba with butter, but I have only butter, no samba. Then you will understand this. Oh, Geshe needs samba. You will bring some samba. So that is also, hinting, side begging as we call it. So that is very, very bad. Or you can even say, the last time you gave me this, that was so useful. Now I lost it somewhere. Again saying you want another one. Hinting, you see. So these are wrong livelihood. Okay? Or you can sometimes, play a trick by saying that in order to get a bigger one, you give something small to that person. You see? For example, if you have what you call as benefactor or sponsor, then you go to see him with 1 thermos of tea. Something like that. I mean, of course, it depends upon your sincerity. Just to thank that person, treating him well is not bad. But if you go with this motivation to get a bigger thing from that person, then that is wrong livelihood. Okay. And then hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Yeah, hypocrisy. Hypocrisy means to pretend you are somebody important when you are not. To pretend that I have clairvoyance. To pretend that I can read your mind. There are many people who are very gullible. Now you are listening to me, so if I pretend that I know I can read your mind, you might believe, you see. You might believe. So through this way, again I want to earn something from you, that is, again, wrong livelihood. Hypocrisy. Okay? So hypocrisy basically means, for example, in my room I may be doing all the stupid, silly things, right? Or when I am alone, I am doing all the naughty things possible. But when I am in front of you, I look very nice, very decent. That is also hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Okay, so we should not be a hypocrite. Okay. Then also, I think more or less that is it. So basically speaking, finding material things by giving material things. I've already explained it. Then taking something by force. Now that you are listening to me, there is very likelihood that you will be more kind of supportive. So if I see that you are using a very nice pen, then I might say, oh, this pen, from where did you get it? It looks so nice. How much is it? If I say things like that, then you might say, Geshe, take the pen. So this I am taking by force because I am right now like a teacher, you see. I have more power. So that's also very possible. So these are 5 that is mentioned, but there can be other ways through which you earn your livelihood, which is basically wrong livelihood. Okay? But then there are so many other ways of making the offering, but out of all the offerings, the most important offering is not offering of material things, but offering of your practice. If the teacher or the Lama is a good teacher, good Lama, he will not be concerned about whether you are making any material offerings or not. He will be concerned about whether you are really practicing what he or she has taught. That is a sign of a good teacher. Right? Because the purpose of teaching is to ensure that the student practices what the teacher teaches. And if the student doesn't do any practice but comes up with a lot of gifts, and if the Lama is very happy, then that means the teacher or Lama is rotten or wrong, right? Right? There is a story of one Tibetan Lama who has said that I have given so many teachings. I've given so many teachings, but I have never even asked for a thank you. Forget about material gifts. I did not expect even a thank you. That is the right teacher. The reason he said, I've given so many teachings, but I did not expect even a thank you, because there is nobody who is not suffering. Right? So how can you expect anything from those people? Just like good parents. Good parents will be happy when their children are flourishing. They will not expect that the children come with some gifts and things like that. Right? Okay? Third preparatory practice is, since you are now going to do meditation, sit on a comfortable seat and straighten your body. Maintain an upright posture. This has 5 advantages, because this is what has been recommended by the Buddha. And if you observe such a posture, you will be able to continue your meditation for a longer time. For example, if you recline, try to meditate, you will fall asleep. So if you sit and observe that correct posture, then because of your correct posture, the channels will be correct, straight, and then the energy that flows within it will also be smooth, and the mind that travels with those energies will also be clear. So that's why maintaining right posture is also very important. Okay? And it is said that with such posture you will not be also harmed by non-human beings. And then your body will also feel comfortable, and your mind will also become clear. Okay? So to observe this posture, you can either have half-legged posture, cross posture, or full length, full cross posture. Okay? And then after having done this, you need to set the motivation. Setting the motivation means, if you are a Buddhist practitioner, then take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, and then meditate on bodhicitta until you develop some feeling in your mind. Until you develop some feeling in your mind means you should understand why you take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Who are these 3 guys? Normally we take refuge in somebody when we have a problem. So in this case, as a practitioner, you are saying that I have some problem, therefore I'm seeking your guidance. I'm taking your refuge, the refuge of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So you need to know who are these 3, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Right? And the present problem is not shortage of money, but the problem is negative emotions. The problem is that you are stuck in the cycle of existence. You want to get out of it. So there, the only object that can help you is the Buddha, who is teacher, Dharma is his teaching, and the Sangha, your companion in your spiritual journey. So these 3 are very, very important. Okay? Even otherwise, ordinarily speaking, also it's important that you go with a good friend. Right? You marry with a good person. Right? Very important. Right? So therefore, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. And then, so taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha is the way to distinguish yourself from wrong path. The next is taking bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means developing this wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this will distinguish you from the inferior path. Inferior path means those practices where you think about yourself alone. Right? Selfishness is there. But here in this case, you are developing this altruistic mind, wishing to become Buddha, not for your personal glory, but to help all suffering sentient beings. The way to help all suffering sentient beings is showing the path to enlightenment, path to Buddha. So these three, these two, taking refuge and cultivation bodhicitta, is something that you should do every day, as many times as possible. That is a verse, to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until I achieve enlightenment. Through my practice of giving and so forth, may I cultivate bodhicitta for the benefit of all sentient beings. That's just one verse. It's very, very important. It will help you to achieve success in your journey, in your practice, in your health, in your well-being, so many things. There is a story, ancient story, of a traveler who somehow landed up in a no man's land. So he just went under the bridge. It is said that under that bridge there were a lot of ghosts. So he was a little bit scared. So he kept on, reciting these formulas of taking refuge in cultivation bodhicitta, and the ghost could not harm that person. Like that, you see. Okay? Okay. So having taken that posture of half cross-legged posture or full cross-legged posture, sometimes when you do this meditation, you also put this kusha grass under your meditation seat. This is what the Buddha did, and this is said to be purifying. Okay. So then you, on this comfortable meditation seat, you should observe these 8 or 7 Vairocana postures. Normally we say 7 Vairocana postures, and if you add the breathing, then this is called 8 Vairocana postures. The 8 Vairocana postures are: number 1, leg. Your leg should be cross-legged, full cross-legged or half cross-legged, as we have already discussed. And then your hand, the left hand should be below, right hand on the top, and then form a kind of triangle, and make sure that the tip of this touching thumb is towards the navel, your navel. So when you do like this, it will naturally straighten your body. Straighten your body, but make sure that you are not making your body rigid, because the purpose of meditation is relaxation, not for rigidity. You should straighten your body, but not rigid. Okay, do this. So leg, hand, and then your back should be straight. 3. Then on top of that, your teeth should be natural. Your mouth should also be natural, and your tongue should touch the upper palate gently, so that when you do long meditation, you don't feel thirsty, and also the saliva will not fall from your mouth. So these 3 counted as 1. Leg, hand, back, and then the teeth, lips, and the tongue. So together it makes 4. And then your head. Your head should not be tilted on the right side, the left side, the back side, or front side. If your leg is tilted towards the left side, there is more likelihood of developing attachment. And if it is more on the right, anger. More on the back, arrogance. Arrogant people go like this, right? And then more forward, sleepiness. So it should be again normal. Little bit bent, not much. Okay? That's the posture of your head. And your eye should observe a normal gaze, slightly looking towards the 2 sides of the nose. Okay? But you don't have to force to see it. And His Holiness always makes a joke by saying, if you have a flat nose, it will be very difficult to see it. So don't worry about it. Just let your eye, the gaze of your eye fall towards that direction. You don't have to try to see it. And then the 2 shoulders again should be of equal size, should not be lopsided. Okay? And then, so this makes it 7, then plus breathing. If you count this, then 8 Vairochana postures. So normally we say 7 Vairochana postures, meaning that the purpose of doing the breathing meditation right in the beginning is if your mind is a little bit disturbed. When you go to meditation, your mind is a little bit disturbed and having some attachment or anger or jealousy or wild conceptual thoughts, then in order to calm that mind down, you do the breathing meditation. But your mind is already serviceable for doing virtuous practice, then you don't have to do this breathing meditation. Okay, then 7. There are many people these days who recommend breathing meditation. Breathing meditation is very, very popular. So it has its own benefit. Okay, the most important benefit is making your mind still and being able to focus on the object. And once you are successful in this one-pointed meditation on the breathing, then you can shift the focus on anything, image of a Buddha or impermanence, emptiness, whatever, right? But this does not mean to say that for the rest of your life you just keep on watching your breath. For the rest of your life you keep on watching your breath and die. It doesn't make any sense, right? Right? But the purpose of meditation on breathing is, number one, of course you are able to stabilize and achieve concentration, because unlike external object, breathing is something that is there with you. So it's easier, right? So it is because of this breathing meditation is recommended. Then also your breath is your remote control to your brain. It's related, so it makes changes in the brain and every part of your body. Okay, this is something that is there with you and linked to the other parts of the body. So there are many advantages of breathing meditation there. Now when you do the breathing meditation, what you need to do is just watch your breath as you normally breathe. You don't have to make any special exertion, but what you need to do is just let your mind watch the breath going out, coming in. Going out and coming in should be counted as one. Imagine that your mind is really between the nostril, watching the breath. Going out, coming in, 1. Going out, coming in, 1. Going out, coming in, 1. So when you do this counting, make sure the mind doesn't get distracted. If the mind gets distracted, then you have to start all over again. Going out, coming in, 1. Going out, coming in, 1. Then your mind gets distracted. Then again start. So at least if you are successful, meditating on that coming in and going out of the breath, at least like 10 counts. I think then you're quite successful, right? So so this is basically talking about one-pointed meditation. One-pointed meditation. So when you do the one-pointed meditation, you just focus on one chosen object. Right? I think it was Aristotle who said, concentration is the source of success, both in war and in peace. In our life, we do so many things, but we don't achieve much because we make half-hearted attempt. Our concentration is very poor. If you concentrate, if you're reading something, meditating on something, if you do it with concentration, even if you do it for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you will make amazing progress. But normally it is difficult because the mind is so fluctuating. It's really, really like a very, very naughty baby. That's why we call it monkey mind, And the clear indication is, I'll make you yourself test it. Okay, let us do short meditation. Watch your breath. You know how to do it, yeah? Then you will know what I'm going to say. Okay? Just do that meditation. Watch your breath. Okay? Were you successful? Huh? Successful? The sixth Dalai Lama, in his poems, sometimes we call it the sixth Dalai Lama's love songs. So in that book he says, the face of my teacher which I meditate never comes in my mind. The face of my girlfriend which I don't meditate always comes in my mind. So the mind is like that, you see. It's very reluctant to obey things. You see, there is a story of a very famous Indian kind of academician or scholar who wanted to do proper meditation. Then on asking people, for a qualified teacher, somebody said, you go to Tibet. There is a very famous teacher there. So he goes out and meets that Tibetan teacher and requests him to teach him the art of meditation. The Tibetan teacher said, no, it's very simple, there's nothing much to teach. It's only one thing, very simple thing that you have to do. Then he said, then he asked, what is it? He said, the only thing you have to do is, don't think about monkey. Don't think about monkey. That's all, I have nothing else to teach. Then you are successful. Then this gentleman said, what a stupid teaching, I'm such a great scholar, why the hell I should think about monkey? But anyway, this is what the teacher said, so he has to go. And when he returned home, tried to meditate, the only thing that kept on coming in his mind was monkey. So the mind is like that, you see. So you have to be very, you can never force the mind. You need to employ a technique where the mind likes it, enjoys it. Right? So that's very important. And I once one Western nun came to me and she said, Geshe Lhakdor, can you teach me meditation? Huh? No, sorry, not this one. There was another one who said, Geshe Lhakdor, before I meditated, I was a nice person. After I meditated, I become a bad person. He said this because, when we don't meditate, we have no idea what is coming in your mind, what is going out of your mind, who are the visitors. Nobody, there's no security check, there's no guard, there's no mindfulness, there's no conscientiousness, All kind of things come in your mind, go out, so busy, your mind is always busy. But when you start meditating, and especially when you start meditating on one object as you've just done right now, then the interesting thing, or the funny thing is when you try to meditate on one object, instead of the mind being able to focus on that object, so many other intrusions come, you see. That is why for this vipassana, shamat and vipassana meditation, the Tibetan word for shamat is shine, which has been translated into English, roughly speaking, calm abiding. Meaning that first your mind is invaded by so many unnecessary wild thoughts. You need to calm them, get rid of them, calm. Then abide on the chosen object. Right? So you need to say, no, I'm not thinking about you. No, I'm only thinking about this book. Many others will come. Then you need to say, no, I'm just thinking about it. Then gradually if you are able to concentrate one on object like this through your practice, then you can shift as I said, you can shift the object. So much so that, as Tsongkhapa said, that you will reach a state where if you ask the mind to stay on any one object, it will stay there like a mountain. And if you ask that mind to go and do other job, it will be very obedient, very serviceable. Meditate on compassion, yes sir. Meditate on loving kindness, yes sir. Your mind becomes very, very obedient, serviceable. Right? Once you achieve that state, then there is no difficulty for you to make any kind of spiritual progress. It will come automatically. You will start enjoying it, So the first thing that you need to do in spiritual practice, you need to like it. You need to enjoy it. The yoga teachers, when they teach yoga, they also say, Yoga is for pleasure, for relaxation. It's not a punishment, you see. It's not a punishment. And then also the very interesting thing, you can do it. I'm sure you have been doing that. The interesting thing is, when you let your mind run everywhere, many times you invite so many problems, right? But when you still your mind, let it focus within yourself, it's so relaxing. So relaxing. You don't need to follow anybody. So happy. There's no disturbance, you see. And then there's so much space. It's like when Buddha taught emptiness, then somebody asked Buddha, what do you mean by meditating on? In other words, how would you explain the meditation on emptiness is like? He said, meditation on emptiness is like meditation on the space. What do you mean by meditating on the space? When you meditate on the space, your mind becomes the space, almost like the space. There is no obstruction, there is no hindrance. You feel so happy. There's so much room. So likewise, when you meditate on emptiness, it's like meditating on space. There is no obstruction. Emptiness means mere absence of the object of negation. Mere absence. When you search things, and when you don't find anything having independent existence, then you meditate on this mere absence of independent existence. That is emptiness, right? Which is completely free from any kind of obstruction, right? So, observe these 8 Vairocana postures, and then cultivate this. In the very beginning of that meditation session, you transform your mind into a virtuous state. And of all things, the most important thing at that time is motivation. Not only during the meditation, but throughout your life, the most important thing is your motivation. Why you are doing this? Why you are going towards that direction? Why you are talking to other people like this? Motivation. If your motivation is good, motivation means that all conditioned phenomena, they are dependent on their causes and conditions, right? So all these internal mental things, they are also conditioned phenomena. So whether you will have negative mind or positive mind, very much dependent upon its causal collections, causes and conditions, right? So therefore, if your motivation is such that it is free from attachment, it's free from hatred, it is from ignorance, then whatever is cultivated from it, it's a virtuous state of mind. It is a virtue. Okay? If the motivation is of attachment, of hatred, of anger, then it's non-virtuous. If it is without these 3 things, then it is virtuous. So whether something is virtuous, non-virtuous, dependent upon the motivation, whether it is negative or positive. Right? So therefore, as I right in the beginning mentioned, that the purpose of all our practices, you call it meditation, you call it mindfulness, you call it whatever you call it, all this host of spiritual practices, the purpose of this meditation, all these practices are to lessen your internal negative emotions. If none of these practices are hitting the target, none of these practices are helping you lessen your negative emotions, then you are not hitting the target, you are not doing practice. It doesn't matter, you go around the temple 100 times, do prostration another 100 times, and observe all these meditation postures 100 times. I mean, it's good, you're not harming anybody, in that sense it is good. There may be a little bit benefit, but not much really.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How do you know that the negative emotions are starting to be less? How do you know that the process is working?
That you have to know.
But I don't know.
You should know. Number one, are you a hot-tempered person or not? Do you, in other words, do you very often get angry or not?
No, no,
You don't get.
no.
Then you are already very good.
No, but I think I went to the other side.
Huh?
I think I went to the other side of the angry.
Other side means? No, I mean when I say negative emotions, there are so many negative emotions. It's not just anger.
Yeah.
There are attachment, there are jealousy, there are negative computation, so many things. So you need to be the best person to know which of these negative emotions have a predominant presence in you. The teacher or master can give general teaching, but cannot go into your mind and then figure out, okay. Of course, if we spend a lot of time together, then maybe I'll be able to understand where is your weakness or in which area you're more prone to, cultivation of negative emotions, but otherwise I can't say this. So one has to be the best witness. So the point is, in whichever kind of negative emotions you feel is more disturbing, more ruining your, life, then you need to catch that. You need to know that. And of course, all of us have many, many types of negative emotions, out of which you need to catch one which has a predominant presence in you, and then you need to lessen it. Because if you don't do that, that is going to ruin you. That is going to create a lot of problem for you. Right?
You're looking for your most negative emotion.
Yeah.
And try to work on this.
Yeah.
To reduce it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. Okay? So negative emotions basically means those emotions which when arises in your mind leaves you disturbed, unhappy. That's called negative emotion. Okay? So you need to know that and lessen that and reduce that habit. Okay? So motivation is important. He says motivation is important because if you take the example of a poison, if the seed or the root is poison, then the rest of the tree, the branch, the leaves, they will also be poisonous. If the root or the seed is medicinal, then the branch and the trunks and the leaves, they will also be medicinal. So therefore motivation is important. If the motivation is crooked, negative, deceitful, cunning, exploitative, result will also be negative. Right? Sometimes in today's world, people use some of these deceitful, opportunistic, cunning ways, and then they get some advantage of name or fame or money or something there. Then they think, oh, negative emotions are useful, But you cannot cheat nature. You can maybe for the time being cheat other people, you cannot cheat them all the time, number one. Number two, even if you're able to cheat other people, you can't cheat yourself. Your conscience is watching. We are not saying you need to live your life in accordance with the Buddhist teaching. I'm not saying that. Buddhist teaching is one teaching where you can get a lot of wisdom, a lot of inspiration. But what is even more important is to understand that these Buddhist teachings are also teachings in accordance with the law of nature. Law of nature we cannot teach, we cannot cheat. That for me is really, really comforting. Because there are many, many, destructive, crooked, cunning people. They can cheat you, cheat me, kill you, kill me, kill other people. But they can, at the end of the day, they also have to die. They cannot live forever by exploiting, bullying, cheating other people. Their time also will come. You see? So you cannot say, if you say, okay, now this is not monsoon period, it will not rain, I don't like rain, you repeat this 100,000 times. You can't change it. Rain will come. Right? So there are certain, basic laws of nature. If you understand it, live in accordance with it, your life will be much more happier, more peaceful, more smooth, less trouble. That's all what we are saying, according to the Buddhist teaching also. Right? Okay, so therefore, in this context we are saying this motivation is important. So here he says, for example, right in the beginning when you meditate, close your eye, looks very nice, those of you who are observing me, looks very nice, I'm meditating. But in my mind, if I think about getting something from other people, you see, as soon as I close my eye, then what comes in my mind is not the image of the Buddha, not the compassion, but the dollar, or other material things, led by greed and things like that. That's not meditation. You look like meditating, but you are not meditating. Once there was a person who was sitting alone in the forest doing some meditation. Then the king and his entourage, they happened to go that side. So the king approached that person and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm meditating on patience." The king said, "You eat my shit." Then this man also got angry and said, "You also eat my shit." That is the patience, you see. So we can all look very nice when nobody is disturbing us. But the test of pudding is when the environmental situation, people around you, they provoke you, they make you problem. Then if you flare out, and there's no traces of love, traces of compassion, traces of patience, then that dharma is not useful. Because the meaning of dharma means to protect you from falling. And we fall because we live or engage in negative ways of thinking, negative ways of life, we fall. And when you do dharma practice, you lead a life which is proper. Proper means proper in accordance with the law of nature, proper in the sense of helping others, not harming others. Then you don't fall, you see. Right? So these basic rules are taught not only in religious philosophies, but also as a secular subject. All the governments, the government may not have any particular religion because the government has to rule people with so many different religions. But the government is not a religious organization, but it also has to have some rules and regulations. For example, you're not supposed to kill. You're not supposed to engage in intoxicant drinks and things like that. So given the reality of our life, there must be some sense of what is good, what is bad. And what is good, what is bad is not determined in terms of a particular religious tradition. It is determined in terms of whether it is contributing to your happiness, long-term happiness, or suffering. That's the demarcation, because we all want happiness, do not want suffering. Okay? So motivation is very important. So whether you engage in listening to a teaching, thinking about a teaching, meditating on a teaching, making some offerings, helping other people, whatever you are doing, your motivation is the most important thing. Okay? And then, of course, as a Buddhist, when you take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, you need to have these two fundamental causes to take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Why should you take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha? In Buddhism, we have this concept of taking refuge. This is actually there in Buddhism, but it's not very special or peculiar to Buddhism. It is in the human nature. When it's raining, you take refuge in umbrella. At 12 o'clock noon, when you are hungry, you take refuge the lunch. You see? So it's in our nature that when you have a problem and which you can't solve, then you naturally seek help from other people. So therefore, as I already mentioned, in this case, we take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, not because there's a shortage of money or I'm physically sick, but you are suffering from a much more severe problem. That much more severe problem is the problem of the presence of negative emotions. Okay? And it is the Buddha who can teach you how to remove these negative emotions, how to confront these negative emotions, how destructive these negative emotions. Okay? So you should have this one, on the one hand, you should have this faith to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, that they have the capacity to help me. And then secondly, you take refuge in them because you have some fear. You have fear of death. You have fear of suffering. Nobody likes suffering, you know. Everybody wants happiness. But you do get suffering. Aging, birth, death, sickness, meanwhile so many problems are there. Problems are bound to come. Some of them may be minor. You may be able to solve it by yourself. There may be, but the long-term causes for many of these problems is you made something big mistake with the major causes. So unless you rectify that main source of those problems, for example, if you want to solve this, poison coming from the poisonous tree, it will not help solve the problem if you just cut some leaves and branches. You need to uproot that tree. So similarly, all these problems, negative emotions, come basically from ignorance. So ignorance must be eliminated. Okay? Okay, some questions maybe. We don't have to try to finish everything. It is impossible. If you have some questions? Tiwa Yewe Tiwa. How many of you speak Tibetan? Okay. Tiwa Yewe. Any questions? No questions? Hmm?
Maybe one about Shine. Shine, how Shine will start to good motivation, and then you have to keep the mind calm with the breathing.
Yeah. And also, I'm glad that you asked this very important question. Because when we talk about one-pointed concentration, Shine, this calm abiding, Shamat, is one-pointed meditation. So every text says, choose one object, make sure that your mind stays on it, make sure that it's not excited, make sure it is not distracted. All the texts say this. But I've read one Lamrim text where it says, yes, it is important to choose one object and make your mind stay on the object, but the ultimate purpose of that one-pointed concentration is not letting the mind concentrate on one object, but to concentrate for the well-being of all sentient beings. That was like mind-blasting for me. The end purpose is how much you are able to concentrate in helping others. It's very beautiful. Not just concentrating on a chair for the rest of your life. I mean, there's a method to stabilize your mind. But then at the end of the day, having trained your mind, how much you are able to concentrate all the time in helping others, in making other people happy, in making yourself do the right thing, make yourself happy, peaceful. That is where you should concentrate. And this is important because in general, and especially in today's world, we are so much distracted by so many, the sounds, the sights, so many things. The shiny gadgets, so much distraction. So it's really difficult to concentrate. So therefore you need to make special effort, locate special time to be able to concentrate. Yeah.
So if we do achieve one-pointed concentration, or at least improve our concentration, then we can know what you know when you're a bodhisattva, which is the best way to help other people. Is that what you mean by?
No, concentration has nothing to do with the bodhisattva.
Like
Concentration, this achieving shamat and calm abiding, especially this shamat, is a practice that can be done by anybody, Buddhist and non-Buddhist. And this is another practice that is, of course, done by the bodhisattvas, because they have to concentrate on the well-being of sentient beings. That's a very important tool. But just by itself, it may not even become a Buddhist practice. Not necessary.
So what it gives you is more clarity of mind. So
Yes,
what you think
yes.
I see.
Yes, it is like a laser beam, you see. When the light of the laser beam is scattered, it doesn't have the power to cut through steel. But then when the rays or the lights of the laser beam are concentrated, it can go through steel, it can cut through steel. It's like taking a photo, These days, of course, most of the cameras are automatic, so you don't have to do much. But otherwise, normally, ordinary cameras, when you shoot, you need to focus it, you see. Otherwise, the picture will be blurred. So our mind is not concentrated. Everything that we get is blurred. It's not clear, You remember something, but not so clearly, blurred, you see. So therefore, concentration is very, very important. And concentration also, when you really concentrate on something, there's so much peace that comes in your mind. When you're distracted, you are neither here nor there, you see. You are like a vagabond, You are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold. But when you concentrate, the reason is because concentration means bringing together all the energies of your mind, You are just focusing on one thing, enjoying it. That's why small kids, they enjoy life. Because their focus is very good. It may be if you give them, even if you give them just a broken toy, they will see it as if it is their world. They'll play it, completely focus on it. They're so happy. Everybody will share it, But when you grow up with so much so-called education, we are not satisfied with many things. You're always looking for something. You're a little bit grumpy. You're a little bit calculating. Because we are not concentrating. We are not satisfied with anything. When you are really satisfied with something, you are concentrated actually. Right? Yeah.
I had a question about focusing on negative emotions, on trying to lessen the power of negative emotions. If you look at negative emotions like attachment or anger, and you track it to ego-grasping, which is kind of the root of everything, and you begin to understand how that plays out in your life, the thing that triggers you is really ego-grasping. Isn't it good to just take the whole meditation and go straight to the ego-grasping and try and work on that rather than all the little tendrils that come out of it, like attachment?
Good. Ego-grasping. Basically, the right word is ignorance. Ignorance. Because this English word ego is a little bit confusing. It may not necessarily be negative. It can be sometimes positive also. But what we are talking about is ignorance, which is the root cause of all negative emotions. If you are able to go there, that is the best. That's why we are constantly encouraged to meditate on interdependent origination and emptiness, which is really the counterforce for this ignorance. And because attachment to some people arises, disliking to some other people arises, because we tend to see these people as having independently beautiful, I like it, independently negative, horrible, I don't like it. You see? That's the problem. But when you have this knowledge of shunyata or interdependent origination, then everything is really like a bubble, you see.
But how do you really concentrate on the negative?
Not concentrate on negative.
No, how do you concentrate on the negative emotion?
You don't have to concentrate on negative emotion, because negative emotions you have very good concentration on it.
She said,
No, what she was asking is analyzing, not concentrating. Analyzing and figuring out how these negative emotions are playing, how destructive they are. That you need to analyze, because it's really like fighting the enemy. If you don't know how powerful the enemy is, what kind of weapons they are bringing, if you have some sense of that, accordingly you will prepare in that sense. Not just thinking about anger and then staying there one-pointedly. I don't think so.
you look at this negative emotion in your mind,
Yeah.
and what's the action that you do? You just
The action is because it is destructive. It is like understanding poison. The importance of understanding poison is so that you will not eat it, because if you eat it, it will kill you. So therefore, exactly like in Buddhist teachings, the negative emotions are termed as poisons. So once you understand the destructiveness of these negative emotions, there is much chance that you distance yourself.
next time that it will come, you will know that it's like poison, so you won't.
That's true. That's true. That clearly shows you have not understood it as a poison. In the case of actual poison, if you have really understood this is poison, you are not going to eat it next time.
Maybe 90% I
Yeah, 90% is good. 90% is good. Because with the negative emotions, that's a very good question, because the negative emotions, we do say 3 negative emotions: anger, ignorance, hatred, attachment, and negative emotions. We do say this is negative emotion. But we keep on cultivating ignorance. We keep on cultivating attachment. We keep on cultivating hatred, because deep down we have not understood, we have not seen them as poison. Whereas if it is a real material poison, then you will not eat it. Because you are sure, 100% sure, this is going to kill me. You will not take it. If you take it, then you are lunatic or something.
Can I add another question?
Yeah.
Where the line cross between helping others and yourself? Because some people want only to help others, some people want only to help themselves.
Very good question. Therefore, in Buddhism we say, helping others is helping yourself. Helping yourself is helping others. That's the boundary. Exactly, that's the boundary. Not only that, if you are really somebody who really wants to help others, first you help yourself. If you can't help yourself, if your health is not good, how are you going to help others? Not much, you see. Yeah, so first take good care of yourself, help others. Because you are for others, right? Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? No question?
So maybe another one.
Yeah.
So you said the easiest meditation to start is to breathe and to concentrate in the breathing. This is what you said?
If your goal is to achieve one-pointed meditation, then yes, start from breathing. But you were not here yesterday, right?
No.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Because right in the beginning I said, I defined meditation by saying meditation basically means making your mind habituated with virtuous qualities, good things. That's meditation. So therefore, from that perspective, meditation is not just one-pointed meditation. Meditation can be analytical meditation. You analyze and make your mind habituated, get accustomed to certain things.
Just
Like for example, if your compassion is not very strong, then practice it, practice it, practice it, practice it. Just like the gymnast,
So you just listen to your breathing or see what happens or come into your mind, and this is the practice?
No, basically it's continuously doing the good things. That's meditation. Continuously doing the good things. It's really like a wrestler, strengthening the muscle, If you really want to win that wrestling, it's not enough just do one time wrestling, you see. You need to do regular exercise, strengthen your muscles again and again. Then your muscles will grow and you will become strong enough so that you can easily win. So like that. Right now we may talk about love, we may talk about compassion, but our practice is very weak. So we need to get used to with that. So it becomes part of our mind. Compassion comes automatically, loving kindness comes automatically, patience comes automatically. So you need more training. So that kind of regular practice, getting habituated with these virtuous qualities, is called meditation.
But the practice is to do this stuff with other people, you mean?
Not necessarily with other people. You can do it with other people, but mostly yourself, alone.
Yeah, but to do good things, you have to do it with other people.
Not necessary. You can do your exercise, physical exercise with others and also by yourself alone. Similar like that. You can eat food with others also. You can eat food alone also. So similarly, these spiritual practices also you can do with others, do by yourself alone. If there is a need that you have good companies around, so that if you have a problem, ask the questions, then of course it's good to be with good people. Otherwise, you can do it by yourself. Okay. Okay? No questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do a daily practice such as bodhisattva, and sorry, if you do a daily practice such as Bodhisattva and you do it every day, you're really taking in all of the teachings that are in the practice. Is that the biggest help for analytical meditation, or is there some effect that has on just regular concentration meditation?
No. When we say analytical meditation, it can be on any subject. Analytical meditation can be on emptiness. Analytical meditation can be on impermanence. So many subjects, right? So many subjects. So in order to get enlightenment, bodhicitta alone is not enough. Bodhicitta is basically development of the heart. You need to develop the head also. So that is meditation on emptiness, shunyata. So bodhicitta, the bodhicitta and the wisdom understanding emptiness, these are simply said fine, harmonious development of head and heart together. Because it is the development of the head, the development of wisdom, which precisely discerns the reality. That discernment of the way things are, the reality, is the counterforce against the misconception of reality, ignorance. So ignorance is misconception of reality. It is a misconception of reality because this ignorant mind sees things as having independent existence. Whereas the wisdom understanding shunyata sees things opposite to it, that there's nothing that has independent existence. So dependent existence, independent existence, these two are mutually exclusive. There is no third alternative. You have to choose just one, whether things exist dependently or independently. And when you reflect in this way, then you will find, things exist dependently. Therefore, the mind which sees things as having independent existence is misconception of reality, it's ignorance. It must be discarded, it must be removed. And it can be removed not through prayer, but developing a mind which sees the way things are. That is, it is counterforce. When you see the things as they are, then there's no chance for you to see things as having independent existence. Right? Yeah. Okay? Thank you. Stop here.